That's dark.
Very, very good.
Well, good evening, Sir Dennis.
Oh, Lord. Hello.
How are you doing?
Hello. I'm much better now. Thank you. Thank you, because it is, after all,
Happy hour. Yes. My favorite hour.
Right.
So, I have some stuff to talk about. I flew back across the ocean. I'm now...
Did you, when you flew, did you have your shirt off like you do now?
I always fly in the nude, yes. Yes.
I wasn't going that far. I was just going shirtless. You've gone straight to the heart of the matter. Go ahead. Talk about how you like to fly naked.
I mean, the Nudist Airlines, they keep it nice and warm in the I was
cabin.
Cockpit. Yeah, I was going to say fuselage, but no, in the cabin. Yeah. So, you got to. I mean, it gets a little stanky with all the other naked passengers, but
right. So when you're sitting in an airplane,
and the leather seats are kind of get sort of sticky on your back.
Oh Lord, terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Fake leather.
Right,
fake
of course.
anyway. But so how this would take this regular problem of flying to a new height. So any flight you take, if you're sitting in the aisle seat or the window seat for that matter, but I prefer the aisle seat.
Sure.
And there's a middle seat next to you.
Yes.
You hope beyond hope that it's someone who's slender.
Right. Of course.
It's so and someone with small elbows and hands even smaller than Donald Trump's.
Right.
So when somebody comes walking down the aisle, you say to yourself almost out loud, either "uh-oh," or you say "please." So an old lady, in her 70s, weighs 90 pounds, one little bag. You're saying, "Please," particularly for a long flight. But then a gigantic man comes, who's ducking to walk into the plane,
right? And
you say, "Please, no, not no, no." And then he walks on by. Well, in your nudist airplane, I would imagine that's even more.
That's more of an issue. Yes. Well, and as was mentioned in the movie Fight Club, the trick of getting, if you're in the window seat and you need to get out to go use the lavatory or whatever, you have to decide whether or not you're going to show the person your ass or your crotch.
Now a question of etiquette. As I pass, do I give you the ass or the crotch?
And with a nudist airline, that's
right.
That's even worse.
Well, so let's say that the best choice would be genitalia toward forward seat.
Yes.
And as bad as right, but
I agree.
Here's the thing. What if there's someone there with a long nose that inadvertently hooks on to one of your parts of your rumpus and spreads that baby open, and there is some dung from your previous
activities.
That would be gross.
That might be the grossest goddamn thing I've ever considered. Oh my God.
But in that case, or you could spin around, and in your case, all they'd see is hair because your little mushroom dick is buried in your pubic area. But this shouldn't be broadcast under any circumstances, so you need to cut this out. But between you and me, then, that's why you don't want to turn around, is because you don't want the woman there to laugh and say, "Oh, look, a mushroom dick."
Yes. Hey, right? And I say, "Hey, I'm a fun guy."
Man. Is there fungus in your anus? That's old. That's old. You live the strangest life. You're bicultural, you're
anal fungus,
bicontinental, and now you're bi-clothing nudity. So it's the natural state to be flying through the air without any clothes on. That's. Are you a crow? Are you some kind of a bird in your earlier life that you're flying with no clothes on? Hey.
Yes.
Wait a second. Wait, while we're on the topic of animals, before I forget, I got to tell you about a dream I had that has a farm animal in it. So in outside my bedroom, on the second floor of my new house, is a sitting room that's got two big windows facing our yard and our neighbor's yard. And in my dream, I'm looking over, and there is a cow in my room, in my sitting room.
Maximus, Maverick, Bovinus.
And there is a bug of some kind flying around it, and it goes into the cow's nose, and then he swallows it. So it goes to it. Now, obviously, our previous episode, which was what now? Was
Maximus, Maverick, Bovinus.
So that was in my mind. And then the insect problem that I've told you about. So this is what happens. That part is just the beginning. The next thing that happens is the cow is friendly to me, comes over from the end of the room by the staircase where she's sitting, and she walks toward me, and she bends her head down, and I climb on her neck. And then in my sitting room, she's bobbing her head up and down, so I'm very gently kind of riding on her neck. And in my dream, I'm smiling and thinking, no one will ever believe this really happened.
Well,
that was my dream. And I'm smiling because I'm thinking, specifically, I need to tell you about it. I dreamt that I would tell you about it.
Oh, God.
In my dream.
This podcast is so deep in your head.
Well, I did not, however, pick you as you are now in the buff.
Well, that's...
I hesitate to speak of any other farm animals for fear that the excitement would be embarrassing, at least for me, since I'm the only one who can see you. And I don't want to see that mushroom, fungi, penis ear sprout, so to speak.
So we were flying from North Carolina to Germany to Spain. And most of the years that we do this, we end up having like a 5-hour layover in Germany, which sucks because you've lost your night because, you know, your transatlantic flights going east leave in the evening, and then you get there in the morning and like your night hasn't been very long. But this time I was really excited because we only had a 2-hour layover. I was like, oh, good. That's really the best time. The best layover is 90 minutes. It lets you change terminals if you need to and get to where you need to be. And it's just superior. So we have this 2-hour layover. And in the airport in North Carolina, we get there like 3 hours early because your option is to sit at home and wait for the time when you should leave to come, or to just go. I would much rather be at my gate 3 hours early than caught in traffic for some weird freak accident and miss my flight. Right. So you can't. I am unable to waste that time. Not waste. It was with family or whatever, but to spend that time not trying to get to the airport. So anyway, we're there, and then I get a notification on my phone that the flight is delayed 4 hours. And I'm like, well, fuck. That's not good. And
that's just the beginning.
And there were some Germans near me. I was sitting at a bar with a pint. And also I was traveling by myself with my kids, which always adds to the fun because my wife had left earlier. And so anyway, I turn to the Germans and I say, hey, I just got the notification that the flight is leaving, super late. And they said, we haven't received any notifications. Let me look. And anyway, then it got pulled back. So it was only 2 hours delayed, which still sucked for me. And actually my German friends also had a connecting flight to somewhere else. And so anyway, we board the plane. It's 2 hours delay for whatever reason. Who knows? There's so many different reasons that a flight can be delayed. And we, eventually we get to Germany. And as we are arriving, they said, they come over the speaker and said, hey, for people going to Zurich or to my airport in Spain or to some other place, because we are late, there will be someone waiting for you guys that are doing the transfer right outside, right at the end of the walkway off of the plane.
Cool.
Side note, in Spanish, I don't really don't know about English, but in Spanish, those walkways that you go into the airplane are called fingers. So anyway, so we get off, we walk down the finger, and there's a guy holding up a sign saying, going to Spain. And so I say, hey, that's me and my 2 kids. And he said, all right, well, I was told to pick up 3 of you. And I said, well, here we are. So he took us, we didn't go inside the airport at all. He took us down some stairs into a van where he drove us to like the other side of the airport and said, okay, I'm going to drop you off here. You need to go through passport control. We walked briefly inside to have our passports looked at. And then we went right back out and got in the van and were driven right to the airplane, where we actually got there 4 minutes before all the other passengers, because this was one of these flights where rather than going down a finger, they take you on a bus out to the tarmac to get on the airplane. But anyway,
you can go up the stairs.
Yeah. And so, as even though we were late, we got there just before all the other passengers, and we made our flight. But it was kind of cool not setting foot in the airport. That's the way I imagine the super rich people. They're in their private jets and they've got their limo that picks them up. They walk down the stairs of their jet and there's a limo to take them somewhere. But it was neat to get that sort of treatment.
So how long of a trip did it end up instead of the?
No, all we did, we burned our. It was the same. We caught the exact flight that we were supposed to catch. We just burned our 2 hours of layover before we took the big long flight, which was fine by me, really. It was a 9-hour flight to Germany. It's a little awkward because going to Germany is further east, and then we have to go back west to Spain. But it was a 9-hour flight to Germany and then a 2-hour flight to Spain.
It's a long day.
It's a long goddamn day, yeah.
Yeah.
But we've done it several times, and it's survivable. Right. Especially with the kids and with myself. We just, there are no rules on. You can watch all the movies that you want and eat all the junk food that you want. Just to get through the goddamn day.
Get through it.
Yeah.
Get through it. Yeah.
Because it's a shitty day by any measure.
Any definition. Yeah. Well,
and when we arrived to Spain, turns out, despite the assurance of our van driver in Germany, turns out that quick turnover was a little too fast for our bags to catch up.
Well.
So they
bring it to your house.
They do, and if I could pay an extra $50 to just have my bags delivered later the same day that I arrive, rather than have to wait for them, I would do that in a second. But anyway, so the bags came later that same day, but it all worked out.
It sounds like the best of a bad day could be.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. It could have, it didn't go as planned, but all of the hiccups turned into
good
things. Hiccups turned into happy ups.
Happy bubbles.
Happy
bubbles.
Bubble.
Yeah.
Did you know in England they spell hiccough?
COUGH?
Yeah. They say it hiccup, but they spell it hiccough.
Well, there you go.
And,
it's another example of the British
being wrong.
Eccentric. That's not what I was going to say.
Speaking of the British being wrong, they have a new prime minister today.
Oh yeah, who is that? I've been out of touch.
Boris Johnson.
With the hair?
He's the
opposite of Trump's hair.
It's Britain's Trump. I remember him from back when I lived in England, and I swear to God, I think he was like the mayor of London for a while.
Yeah, right.
But he's just this eccentric, xenophobe nut fuck.
Link to him in our notes.
Well, I'd rather not, but don't want to give him all the hits from our 4
You're not
listeners.
Promoting him. Yeah, he might get 4?
I mean, no, of our 4 listeners, maybe 1 looks at the show notes. So, which are at happyhour.fm/017.
Wow. So I watched a movie last night that wasn't funny, called Biutiful, spelled Biutiful. Javier Bardem was the star of it. It was in Spain, in Spanish.
Yeah.
And it was about his life as a single dad dealing with a alcoholic, a drug addicted, narcissist mother of two, and other things that I don't want to put any spoilers in there, but it was one of the most amazing movies that I've ever seen. And he's incredible to begin with. But what's interesting is that because of my hearing is not the best, it was interesting how when I'm watching any other movie or series, including the season finale of Big Little Lies, which we should talk about, but you haven't seen it, so you'll have to see it. Then we'll talk about it. But just so nice, because it had to be translated, obviously, in the bottom of the screen, for me to not only hear the soundtrack and the intonation and the tone of the voice, but also not miss a word.
Yep.
For the first time in years, not miss a word, including what's annoying, and it for people a little hard of hearing, particularly annoying, is that movie soundtracks get ratings and awards for a reason, because some are better than others. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a movie and the louds are so loud that it's like, holy cow, the balance of that is that when they're whispering, you can hear them. Mm-hmm. That's a good soundtrack.
Yes.
But so much, particularly when you're hard of hearing, the loud is pretty loud and the whispers are unintelligible.
Right.
So in this movie, the stuff that he was whispering was not only clearer to me than any whispering has been, but it also was so poetic and so incredible that I was like, I'm so glad I'm not missing a word of this, because this is amazing. But the beginning and you got to see it.
I will. I'm a huge fan of his. The first time I saw him, it was in a cinema in England, and it was with subtitles in English, of course, but I was sort of learning Spanish, and it was a movie called Mar Adentro, which I'm looking at his IMDb page right now and I don't see it, which means deep sea, and it was about he played a quadriplegic. And the story was about, like, it's the first scene is him diving off of some rocks into the sea, which is how he becomes quadriplegic. And I had never heard of this actor before at all, but it's actually a true story. There was an actual guy, and the movie centers around the topic of euthanasia. And should someone be allowed to have a doctor help them kill themselves?
As he wanted,
right?
Obviously.
Yeah, he wanted. Like the whole Kevorkian. What was that other case?
Which was here in Michigan. He's in prison.
But anyway, that movie is incredible as well. And as luck would have it, on the flight back that I just referenced, I watched the only movie that I watched. Normally, I watch a bunch of movies, but this time I was kind of tired. The only movie that I watched is one called, in Spanish, it's called Todos lo Saben. It means everybody knows. And it's with Javier Bardem and his, I think now wife, Penelope Cruz. Who,
is that his wife? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think they met when they did a movie together, a Woody Allen movie called Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona.
Did you see them when he was an artist with two women, and the second woman was Scarlett Johansson?
That's the movie, Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Yeah, which was Woody Allen is going through this phase.
That's Woody Allen movie?
Yeah, Woody Allen is going through this phase of doing these love stories in all different cities in Europe. He's got one in Rome and one in Paris. And
I had no idea.
This is Barcelona. Yeah,
I had no idea. It was interesting.
That soundtrack, I really love that soundtrack, the Vicky Cristina Barcelona soundtrack, which I will link in the show notes. But anyway, this Everybody Knows movie that I watched was pretty good. Because my in-flight entertainment system was set to English, I was getting English subtitles, but it was a family struggle in Spain. To not spoil anything, that's all I can say. But it was decent.
So I'm interested in you're looking at this movie Biutiful because I want to hear about the depiction of Spain. I don't know what city it was in, but it was monstrous. It was awful. And so anyway, well, what's the biggest city in Spain?
Madrid and Barcelona are the two big ones.
Well, it's one of those two.
Okay. Yeah, so in Javier Bardem, I think, was it for No Country for Old Men that he got an Oscar for?
Oh, my God.
He's
with a cattle, a gun that was used to put a bullet in a cattle's forehead.
Yes.
It was, and whoa. I've seen that a couple of times. Yeah, he's an astounding actor. I think that, given the movies you've seen, we've seen, each of us have seen, that when you see this one, you will say to me, it's the best one he's ever done. It's
wow.
It's the best. It's the best. Not just him at his best,
right?
Which he's so good all the time that, I mean, it's amazing. But the movie itself and its entire flow and energy is the best movie he's been in.
Okay, I will.
Which is saying something.
Because he's been in a lot of great movies. Yes, I will add that to my homework for hopefully next time.
Did you see the Michael Douglas movie that he was the drug kingpin? No, that wasn't him. That was somebody else. Did you see Wolfman with If I can't remember any actors' names, we're not going to get very far. The most recent edition of Wolfman with the Benicio del Toro.
There you go.
It was in Benicio del Toro. It was in this
and
movie.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, but anyway, the point of that was just to remember his name. In the drug movie, he played the drug kingpin, and he had this manner about him and this wild hair about him that it is stunning. It is stunning. And Michael Douglas is such an icon of solid,
for sure,
solid movies and solid acting. But with his daughter's connection with it. But
although recently Michael Douglas feels just like he's sort of playing himself in movies, like he's always this rich Wall Street stockbroker guy.
Gordon Gekko?
What?
Gordon Gekko?
Who? Michael Douglas.
Gordon Gekko in Wall Street. 3 movies.
Yeah, right.
There's only been 2. You saying there's a third one?
No, I'm just saying that like all the recent Michael Douglas movies, last 10 years that I have really noticed him in. He's always this rich. He's always riding in a limousine at one point in the movie.
How about the was it the Golden Boys?
Yes, you're right. That's right. He was a professor or something in that.
What was the name of that though?
Yeah, the Promise Boys or something.
No, not the Golden Boys, but
yeah, it's like that though.
Something like. But anyway, that doesn't fit the description you.
Yes, thank you for your counterexample.
And also, he was in a movie where
the Wonder Boys.
The Wonder Boys. That's right. It was excellent. There was also a movie he was in where it was a heist of a Walmart. That doesn't fit that at all.
Well, the heist that was a McDonald's clone, I think.
A McDonald's clone?
It wasn't a real McDonald's. It was just a.
You mean a Walmart?
God damn it! It was a fast food place.
No.
There's one where he does that.
Oh, well, there you go. He's prolific. What can we say?
All right, never mind.
What was the weird one?
I withdraw.
Where were? I'm not done. In our time,
Your Honor, I withdraw my claim.
What about the movie he was in where his brother, who was Sean Penn, was playing the game?
The Game. That's it. That's called that,
right?
Again, but that fits my mold.
That fits your mold.
Yes.
That fits your mold.
That is
the other one.
That is a great movie.
That is
the first time you watch it. That's a great movie because there's so many.
I've seen it at least 3 times, probably 4 times.
I have as well. But that's the whole concept of spoilers is so perilous,
right?
Because if someone tells you, oh, there's a twist in that movie, that's somewhat spoiling it because then you're like, oh, I want to see what the twist is.
That movie's 10 years old, way past the era of spoilers.
10 years old. 10 years old, my child. That movie came out in 1997. 22 years old.
There you go.
Just saying. So we
fair
can't.
Game.
We
no
can't,
such thing as spoilers.
We can't spoil.
They're 22 years old.
So who is Darth Vader? Is Darth Vader really Luke's father?
Yes.
Oh man, we spoiled it. Oh well. Anyway,
see, that's fair game. It's not a movie somebody hasn't seen yet. And if they haven't seen it, fuck them. It's too late.
Yeah.
It's been 22 years. I mean, what are you waiting for? Have you seen Moonstruck yet?
Well, maybe they're young. Maybe they were just born. I showed my kids the Star Wars trilogy just a couple of years ago. And if some jerk on some podcast had come and told my kids, because please, dear God, do not let your children listen to this podcast. If they had been ruined by that, because I remember my daughter
ruined.
My daughter, when that reveal happened, she looked at me like, "Oh my God, really?" Like she was in the grip of
which reveal?
That Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Oh.
She was in George Lucas's grip.
Right. How about the Leia being Luke's sister? That was the other one.
There's that too.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
There's a little,
So Darth Vader without his helmet
action.
on. Darth Vader removing his helmet was the most of all of the things that I wondered about. I wondered about that a lot.
What did he look like with his helmet off?
Yeah, right. And there you had it.
Turns out he was a white guy.
Well, I knew that even though his voice is a black guy.
They filmed the whole thing with the guy inside doing all the lines, and then they came in and had James Earl Jones come and redo it, which was a great decision.
Oh my God, best voice ever. Hey,
there are James Earl Jones. You can get, like, maybe not now so much, but for your navigation on your GPS stuff, you can download James Earl Jones voices to be like, turn left.
Right.
The Force will be with you, and you know a little bit about that.
He's funny. I mean, he's great. He's great. You're funny. Hello.
So the other day, I was in the back seat of the car when our beloved one and only podcast guest, Dr. Pud, was driving, and I was navigating because he gave me his phone to figure out where we were going to find some golf course somewhere, and I pulled out some of your righty-tighty Trump turn thing that you had come up with just on the spot that one time.
That was fun.
Yeah, we need to do that. We need to do that again.
So I played my blues gig on Monday this week down at
with Tom the piano player. Tom the piano man.
Tom Duffield, and as I give him the first half hour without me showing up, so he can do whatever, and then I show up.
So he can prove to the audience that he doesn't need you there.
Well, just to give him some space, man. I don't need to get into
later you totally prop up his entire act.
There isn't any drama with Tom. He's just about the music. But it was interesting because this other guitar player came, and he and his partner knew Tom, didn't know me, and we're friendly, and they were musicians, and he looked at my harmonica case and he said, "Wow, you got them all." Mm-hmm. And he looked at one of them and he said, "Oh, that's the same kind I have." And I said, "Go get them." He said, "Well, they're out in the car." I said, go get him, bring him in. I mean, we'll do two of us. Then he said, well, I play guitar too. And I said, well, get that too. But, come on. It's just me and Tom playing. So he says, well, I'm here. I'm chilling. I don't know. I'll get a drink. And he before that, he said something about New Orleans, about a cafe in New Orleans. And I didn't quite catch it. And I just smiled and I said, New Orleans.
Which is your stomping ground. Yep.
Well, yeah, right. And so then he got a drink and he came back and we had a minute. And I said, what did you say about New Orleans? And he was talking about Katrina. And I said, I thought you said something about seeing you in a cafe in New Orleans. And he said, no. I said, because I played down there and what? And he said, oh, yeah, where? And I told him, and he didn't know the place, but whatever. But then quick as a flash, he got his guitar. And Tom and I were playing blues piano and blues harp. And I don't think I had sang a song yet because it was early on when I got there. And the fella comes back and you can't hear his guitar. It's just he's playing a cowboy guitar, and it is kind of quiet, but he plays it particularly quiet. So there was a hot mic, and so I put it there. Well, the next thing I wanted a mic for his voice, and at one point Tom said, this is unplugged. I mean, this is acoustic.
Yeah.
And because it's a stand-up piano, you don't want to drown it out. And I'm just a guy with a harmonica. I mean, it's not.
Sure.
I'm not mic'd up. But and we had a great time. And this dude, his name was Lauren, was good. Mm-hmm. And with a few things that he did, he played a couple of old Yodelahi tunes.
Yodeling.
Rogers. The hell was the singer's name? Rogers. Anyway, we'll have to.
Will Rogers, Buck Rogers.
No. Buck Rogers was a astronaut, and Will Rogers was a comedian and a writer. But what?
What? Okay.
Hey, so a new contest this year when we all get together, and I mentioned it before, but I want to remind you that every person there. Well, we have teams.
Yeah.
And we should probably have leaders. And each leader from a condo picks a tune a cappella that has different words and melodies for different singers that they put together, and we'll have a contest that will film as to who wins the best 2-minute harmonizing a cappella. But here's the thing.
So it's the Barbershop Quartet sing-off.
Esque.
Right.
Yes. That's probably a
4-man in a condo,
a good way to describe it, because then people will immediately understand what it is.
That's what a good description does, yes.
You don't.
That's what I'm here for.
That's what you're here for. You don't have to go there. That's what did you say? Put your shirt on. I'm getting sick. So I'm glad your seat isn't any taller. I don't have to look at your nipples. At least you're above the nipple line.
I could straighten up and show you some nipple action.
Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and stand up.
You don't want that.
Oh.
So today I watched the Mueller testimony.
Did you?
Yes, I did. Robert Mueller testified in front of the Congressional Hearing Board or whatever. And God, every time, I remember watching, I think, Jeff Sessions and Comey and Zuckerberg and Mueller live being interviewed by the Congress folk. And God, every single time the person being interviewed comes out looking smarter than the legislators. They just ask the dumbest stuff. And also, this particular one, Mueller clearly stated, look, I've written everything down. It's all in this report. We've triply fact-checked it. This is exactly what we want to say and all that we want to say, and nothing has been left out. And so, but because, and credit to my father for this theory, that because Americans just don't want to read, we want sound bites, we want stuff on video, we find it really difficult to actually look at something that's written and take in that information. I don't know, like that's why Congress had to call Mueller in to just talk to him about this report that he released. And God, so many times his three answers were, I would refer you to the report on that.
Well, I would have to refer you to the report on that. I direct you to the report for how that is characterized. I rely on the language of the report. I refer to the report on that.
And so many of the questions were on page 96, you stated this and this and this. Is that true? And he would be like, well, if it's in the fucking report, then I fucking said it, didn't I? And then there was a whole bunch of other stuff where, I don't know, it felt like I was watching some sort of other universe. Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy? Where it's by Mike Judge, who created Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill and Office Space, and it's this movie of what if this normal dumbass like fell asleep for I don't know how many years, for 200 years, and he woke up and all of society had been reduced to our dumbest instincts. So he's just this doofus that everyone thinks is just the smartest person in the world because he like can do basic reasoning, and like he gets elected president. And does this sound familiar? Anyway, you have to see the movie Idiocracy. It's great. I mean, it's not.
Oh
I wouldn't say it's great.
Who's the actress?
It's dude that's. It's from 2006, and the main actor is Luke Wilson. Who?
Oh no shit! I love Luke Wilson.
Who?
Idiocracy.
Yeah. You need to look that up. Anyway, today felt like we were looking at this other universe where people no longer believed that you could like put thoughts down on paper.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, well, tell us in your own words what you wrote on this piece of paper. And Mueller was like, well, it's on the fucking piece of paper.
Let me read it to you.
Oh, no,
right.
and the best part was like 4 or 5 times. One of the Congress people said, "Could you read this passage on page 65, about halfway down?" And every time Mueller said, "I could, but I'd rather just listen to you read it to me."
Would you be willing to read the first sentence?
And that was starting with
substantial evidence.
Indicates that the president's.
Yeah, if you could read that first sentence, would you be willing to do that?
I'm happy to have you read it.
Which so, like, I feel like he must be feeling just this pain of, why are you people asking me? I've said all of this. I'm here. And the other thing he would say a bunch of time is, well, that's not under my purview. Like, that's not a thing that that I investigated or could investigate. And the other thing he said a bunch was, which I've seen several people interviewed say was, I can't discuss that here. One of the reasons I want to see some of this is because the only thing I've seen of him are old clips of him walking from one place to another, and one of him in a baseball cap. I've not heard him speak anything. He did give one press conference after the report was released, where he basically said, "Look, read it with your eyes." Yeah. But anyway, it was just this, and so many of these things are all political positioning. So many of the Republicans were just spouting these Fox News alternate narratives about, well, Hillary was just as bad, et cetera, et cetera. But then, the Democrats also, they were trying to get him to say, do you think we should remove him from office? In which he would always say, I don't want to comment on that.
I watched and I had a half-hour lunch break today while I was doing construction work outside in the house, and I had a bowl of chicken soup and a bottle of water, fresh rye bread lathered in butter, and the Count of Monte Cristo was on the movie screen.
Okay.
And it was fabulous. Fabulous. James Cavell, who looked so much like our friend John that I can't begin to tell you. In fact, you need to get a shot of John and a shot of James Cavell from this movie and put them side by side, particularly an older picture, John, and put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Without his permission. That wouldn't be fair.
Another part of my trip back was that I smuggled in some seeds that our friend John gave me. Some basil seeds. Because basil is really freaking hard to come by in Spain. Like is basil in quotes? No. My joke to him was like, oh yeah, they caught me with my weed bag, but then I quickly switched it with my basil bag, and I said, Pesto Chango.
Good Lord.
Which was a long setup.
What did you say?
Pesto Chango.
Pesto Chango. Well, you're just a clever nude boy.
That's what people call me, yes.
So I will tell...
Anyway.
They do. Go on. Is there more?
No. Yeah, I can see this Javier, or whatever his name is. I can definitely see our boy John in his face, yes.
He's a boy. So last night I left work and was on my way to the Y and stopped at Duffy's bar. And it's the prettiest bar in town. Oh, God, old 1869 building with this beautiful carved oak bar. And I realized when I pulled in, when I went for my wallet, that I didn't have my wallet and I didn't have my wad of cash. And so I started scrounging in the car, my truck, my work truck. And I scrounged up $4 in filthy quarters, nickels, and dimes. Filthy.
Sure.
So I went to the bar, and I said, hey, I came, no wallet, blah, blah, blah. I'm thirsty as I can be. I drove here. It's a 10-minute drive. What can I get for $4? He said, well, you could get a draft of a Michelob Light. Or I said, no.
I want real beer.
Yeah, and I said, you have Smithwick's Amber on tap. He said, yeah. And I said, well, how about giving me $4 worth of that? But remember that the $4 includes your tip.
Right.
So he gave me this beautiful half glass of Smithwick's, took the $4 and change, and I said, you'd be better off giving me this beer for free and taking the $4. But he put it all in the cash register.
Wouldn't the bartender always be better off doing that?
I suppose. Well, almost goes without saying, I suppose. But I felt bad not giving him a tip. That's what I said. And and then there were free peanuts. So I sat in my chair and I thought about how wonderful this Kalamazoo is, that $4 and I get half a beer of what I consider the best beer on tap in this town, even all the brewers we have, except for peanut butter porter from Rupert's Brewery. That's the best. But anyway, how fortunate I am to sit here and drink this healthy half glass of beer and eat these peanuts. I was happy.
Yeah, one of my fonder memories is of when we are visiting our beach location, of going into a Mexican restaurant with a couple guys and ordering margaritas, pitchers of margaritas, and just sitting there eating the chips and salsa and drinking your margaritas. Right. It's like that's as good as it gets. Which I just learned today is National Tequila Day.
Oh.
So.
In the world or Spain?
Well, national. I would imagine it's America only. Or Mexico. I don't know. All I saw was the words "Today is National Tequila Day." So,
well,
anyway,
what nation?
Grab your. Well, there are enough nations in the world that we could have National Tequila Day almost every day.
You don't have to get irritated about the question. It's your job to do the research.
I mean,
National
do you have
Tequila
Day? Do you have some lemon and some salt? I mean, we could, if we got a sponsor, on our sponsorship page.
So
hold on. On our sponsorship page at patreon.com/happyhour. The first level of donation is to buy us some beers, but the second level of donation is tequila shots, which I think we both desperately need.
Deserve.
And deserve for sure.
Well, I'm going to do that now because I got to go.
If you've enjoyed what you just heard, you can support us by telling a friend or sharing us on social media. Monthly donations to help us pay for hosting and editing can be provided at patreon.com/happyhour. That's all one word, happy hour. All our episodes, including show notes for each episode, are available on our website, happyhour.fm. You can tweet at us at happyhour.fm, that's with a dot spelled out, happyhour.dotfm, or we can receive email at the same name, happyhour.dotfm@gmail.com. It would also be great if you could give us a positive rating on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. That really helps other people find us. See you next week.